I ran into a story recently about Royce White, the GOP endorsed Senate candidate from Minnesota. And I just wanted to take a look at it because normally with some of the GOP endorsed candidates, they will be nominated and then slowly the skeletons come out of the closet. But in this particular case, it looks like they may have endorsed somebody with his skeletons just walking around town in the open. But apparently he's been pretty open about things. He's called women mouthy, which is always a fun thing for me. Last Tuesday, he put out a map. He tweeted a map of Minneapolis, Minnesota, littered with green dots, saying that it was evidence that crime was out of control in Minneapolis, but it was actually a map of the city's drinking fountains. So go Minneapolis for still having public drinking fountains. That was good. Also, a mother of one of his children has recently provided financial statements showing that he owes more than $100,000 in child support payments for his daughter with her, and apparently doesn't even take an interest in his daughter's life. Maybe because he doesn't care about his children, or maybe because it's a girl child since women are mouthy. Who knows? Anyways, he apparently played professional basketball, um, and says a lot of different things. Maybe things that might be a little hypocritical for a party that considers themselves to back family values and things like that. So let's go ahead and take a look at them. Let's start with a campaign video.
Whoa, I love it! Humanity has awakened. We are rising from the sleep. This is an incredible time to be alive, and we're going to discover just who's on our side and who isn't.
We have all seen the corruption.
Yes, we have seen the corruption from Alex Jones with the lawsuit where he lost after a very prolonged targeted harassment campaign of parents and families of children who were killed that he admitted doing just to get money. Yep, saw that corruption, but you open your campaign video with him.
Our elites are out of control, and yet the referendum still falls on us, we the people, to choose better for ourselves and this nation. This is the most dangerous time in American history. Plans have been made, agendas set into motion, our freedoms and well-being hang in the balance.
And now is a time when things are shifting. There's going to be a new world order out there.
Oh, the boogeyman of the New World Order.
The mainstream media lies and defends the corruption with little to no shame.
This is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
Elected officials target their political opponents with lawfare. The courts see it through, knowing full well the threat it poses to the very fabric of America. Big tech, big pharma, big finance, all conspire with the federal government to suppress and omit certain information when they see fit. More corrupt than any of that is this idea that your citizenship is global. Your citizenship is not global, it's national, and it has a value.
And that's about all I can take of that, but I think it gives a good idea of what he's doing here. So let's move on and take a look at some of the things he said in the interviews.
Continuing was to say cultural issues as a code word for rube, white, rural, Christian, heterosexual, male, nationalist, that are just focused on their wives being too mouthy, sir.
Yeah. Well, look, let's just be frank. Women have become too mouthy. As the black man in the room, I'll say that. I don't know whether we're talking white men or Asian men or black men or so on and so forth, but no, I mean, I'm serious. I mean, there was the thing that is scary about it, and I say this.
And how did women get too mouthy, you ask? Well, buckle up, he's gonna explain it.
But what I'll say is, you take a operation like the Rockefeller Foundation and their grassroots fundamental support and sponsorship of the early women's rights movement, and their involvement with the inception of the Federal Reserve, and the ability of the Federal Reserve to tax the American working class twice with the insertion of women into the workplace. Now, I know we could look at World War II and say, hey, women had to step into the workplace because of the war. But when you look at the inception of the war, there might have been an economic incentive there as well. So, I mean, these things have a history.
Did you get all that? Okay, so yes, it is true that during World War II, a lot of women had to step up and do the jobs that men weren't there to do anymore because they were overseas fighting. Women got stuck in a lot of jobs that were very harmful. Look up the Radium Girls, things like that. But women managed the job. All the rest of it, not sure what he's talking about. There is no double taxation. Each person was getting taxed, and then we did the tax laws for married couples. The Rockefellers and the Federal Reserve, I don't even know how that entered into all of this. But this is what he says has made women mouthy, letting them have a job and earn their own money and not be barefoot and pregnant. Now let's take a look at an interview that he's done. Some more interesting information here.
After getting this endorsement,
Republican U.S. Senate candidate Royce White has a simple explanation for why he thinks he won the party endorsement at the state party convention.
I had a very focused message about my key issues: border debt, forever wars.
His responses are more complicated to questions about a complaint filed against him by a D.C.-based watchdog group regarding his campaign spending during a 2022 congressional race.
First off, I don't recognize them as being legitimate. I think they and many other institutions across this country have become very partisan.
The complaint filed by the Campaign Legal Center questions $157,000 in campaign spending they say appears to be for personal expenses.
Any novice could look at my FEC filings and tell that they're incomplete. By any standard, they're just incomplete.
But the filings that are complete raise a lot of questions, like $1,200 spent at a Miami, Florida strip club.
Speaking of strippers, let's talk about the $1,200 for the strip club that are in your FEC report. What is that $1,200 for? What campaign-related expense was
Well, we're still looking back. Look, we're doing a full forensic of the 2022 campaign and figuring out what went wrong, what miscommunications, missteps happened.
Was there a campaign event at the Gold Rush strip club in Miami?
No, actually, we got food catered from the Gold Rush, I believe. It was 2 years ago, so I can't be perfectly sure, but the Gold Rush has great food, and I've always enjoyed the food at gentlemen's clubs all across the country. But we'll be able to figure that out once we finish the accounting.
So the Republican candidate, Republicans, of course, the only party that has moral values, family values, just fully putting it out there that, yeah, he goes to gentlemen's clubs all over the country, but only for the food. Only for the food. Meanwhile, these are the same people going after books in school and everything else. But hey, gentlemen's clubs, totally fine. And they can be totally fine too. It's just the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy of one party deciding that their morality is not only the only morality, but it's flexible when it's done.
It's unclear how much the 67% of delegates who voted to endorse him know about his personal history. White's personal life is rife with court actions ranging from evictions to failure to pay child support to failure to pay business debts.
And there you go. GOP candidate, the party of family values, law and order, doing neither. And $100,000 is an awful lot of back child support. Obviously, family values means nothing to him. Well, thank you very much for watching, and see you soon.